for the next 3 hours, I'll be giving a course on social media marketing. This is to, of course, help you with your knowledge, to establish the fundamentals in social media, to help you with anything that you're currently doing that is related in your current role to social media as a VA, or to help you brush your skills further if you're looking to start your career in social media. Yeah, so let me just quickly share my screen. So I think for this session, we'll be covering lessons 1 and 2. As I mentioned, it's 3 hours, but I will try to give you as much breaks as possible and to not overload you with so much information. And hopefully you get to learn as much as you can. So a bit about myself. I'm a digital marketer with over 6 years in social media and digital marketing overall. And I'm currently based in Singapore, but I was originally from the Philippines. So my mom's Filipino, she's from 𝗚𝗲𝘁𝗧𝗩, and my dad is Singaporean. So we all moved, so we came here to Singapore to live. And I still have my roots in 𝗚𝗲𝘁𝗧𝗩, but unfortunately, I've been living in Singapore for over 20 years now, and I have forgotten how to speak Tagalog, and I never really had the chance to learn it. So I thought it'd be a good chance. So feel free to speak to me in Tagalog. If I don't understand, I'll just ask you. So yeah, and aside from that, throughout all my working experience I had is mostly in marketing jobs here in Singapore. And some of these channels included social media, PPC media, such as advertising in Google Ads, Facebook, Google Analytics, as well as HubSpot. So yeah. So now we're gonna deep dive into the lesson agenda. So the first thing is a couple of house rules before I start off my course, and then we try to get to know a bit of each other. I know some of us already initially met each other earlier on, but I thought it'd be good to let the other students know who everyone is on this course, so we can get to be familiar with each other as well. And then we can go into the lesson 1, which is the overall overview of all the top 6 social media platforms. And then we will have our break for a while, and then followed by our content strategy and how to create and craft content for different social media platforms, and knowing how to target to your audiences as well. And then followed by the end of day 1. Yeah. Okay, so some house rules. I am very open to questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Or if you want, you can even type your answers in the chat. Do we have a chat, Ebro? Do we have the chat enabled?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, so feel free to ask me any questions. You can just edit, or you can just type it in the chat group, and then I will answer that at the end of the session. And moving forward, whatever you learn here, it's an open discussion and it's an open course, so feel free to share your knowledge. I'll also be giving out certain templates and sheets as well that you can use and reference to when you need them in your current job, or when you need them to do certain work as a VA. Okay, and lastly, I know that we're all online, and I know that we are all on the screen or on our phones, but try to be engaged. And if you don't have any questions, feel free to ask me as well. So, the overview of social media. So basically, okay, great. So for social media, why is it really important? Because as you know, it is constantly one of the biggest platforms for when it comes to brand discovery or getting to know your customers and everything else. But here are the 4 main points of why social media is very important. Firstly, it's because it's where your customers are. everyone is now online. If you are watching a Netflix movie, I'm pretty sure you're also still looking at your phone. So everyone is across multiple devices, whether they're on their tablets, they're on their phone, they're on their TV, they're listening to music. They are constantly engaging with content online, and they are constantly on the move on looking for new things to consume. Like, for example, viral or catchy posts, or they are comparing between products, or they are reviewing a product they recently bought, or they are searching for what to buy next. And another reason for why social media is very important is because we now have an option of engaging with customer experience. So for example, right now in the olden days, you would have to go down physically to the store to engage with them for customer service or sales support. But now everything is online. Like, you have online live chats, you have support groups on Facebook, you can even review the testimonials and reviews about business on Google, for example. So for businesses, it's a very, very useful tool for them to extend their customer service. It's the fastest way to get people to know more about your brand from what other people are saying about your business. For example, if I wanted to buy a laptop, usually I will go down to the physical store and buy it. And then I will look at it, and then I would ask the salesperson to tell me more about the information. But now what I am doing is I am going on YouTube. I am watching reviews about the laptop. I am going on their Facebook page. I am looking at the content that they are posting and the sort of reviews that other people are posting, and whether or not that it was a good experience overall. So that is a second way of why businesses should go on social media to really extend their customer service. The third reason would be competitors are now online too. So if you are currently not online, or you don't have your social platforms up, I'm pretty sure there are other competitors who are currently already ahead of the competition. They are already ramping up social media presence, and they are already capturing the attention of your customers. So these are paying customers who could be buying your products, but instead they are going to your competitors. So yeah, it's another case of a very, very good example. And lastly, it is also a way to add value to your business. So you know that businesses are not just a physical store. Everything now is online, and one way to really show your business branding or your voice is through social media. And that is how you can also build personalized relationships with your customers, and also get more reach to showcase your brand as well. So the end goal of social media, I would say, is you can sum it up into 3 main points. If you're a business owner, I would say you would have to follow these 3 points to really make it your end goal for it to be successful. The first thing is to, of course, make the relationship you build with your customers. So these are customers or clients who will understand more about you because you made an effort with them on social media. For example, when they send in a message, or when you provided to them via their customer service. And secondly, it would be also very good if you could get your customers to love your brand. So we know that there are so many brands out there with really, really great branding, like for example, Nike, Adidas, and that is all because of their branding. So it's all about their design, their content, making it very relatable to people like you and me to want to buy their products. So that is how brand love is created. So if people love your brand, you wouldn't have to worry about loyalty, because they will always think about your brand first when it comes to buying the new sneakers. Like, oh yeah, I love to buy shoes, so because I know Nike is a very good brand and they have always provided me very good support, that is why I remember them. And lastly, when it comes to social media, as a business, you shouldn't only be focusing on it as one of your platform, because social media is part of digital marketing. It is part of digital marketing. So it's only one channel and one tool of the entire digital marketing landscape. So if you're a business or if you're a social media marketer and you want to promote yourself, you should think of other ways to do it other than social media. And what it should help you is it should complement with your other channels. For example, if you have a new product launch you want to talk about, instead of this social media, you can also do email marketing, or you can do a blog post about it, or you can do it on YouTube as well. So it has to work hand in hand with other channels to really help you boost your business presence online. Yeah. Okay, so now moving on to the first one, I'm sure everyone would know, which is the most popular platform, which is Facebook. It is currently the leader of all social media platforms. This is something that's global. And what Facebook does is that it actually provides new opportunities to help build your brand and relationships with existing customers. So the power with Facebook is it has the biggest reach. And with the biggest reach means you can get your ad and your business out there to more people. And with Facebook advertising, you can also help boost your presence even more about your business page. So for example, if you want to get started with Facebook business, there are three important components which you need to build, which is of course your business manager. This is where you create your page, where you put in about your business details, you put in about your billing, your property, your entities, your creatives, your assets. You can also give your staff user roles and other administrative. And then lastly, if you want to go ahead and create advertisements, that is when you would also need to create an ad manager. So that is where you will create all your ads for Facebook and Instagram. And that is where you can also look more and target your audiences and understand a bit more about them, as well as to get more reporting information, like for example, which post did better, which post did bad, or which video got the most watched views, and which post had the most clicks. And then lastly, you also need to set up your own company page. So this would be the main page where people can go to learn more about your business, because it will have all your website, your contact details. You can even list your products that you want to sell, and also have reviews. So now I will go into Facebook so I can show you how it looks like. Okay, so this is how a business, Okay, so this is an example of how a business manager looks like. So over here, you will have all the businesses. And as you can see right now, I have 3 businesses that I'm currently managing. So, and then over here, you have the full scale.
Coach?
Yep.
Well, I think we need to minimize the PowerPoint because we don't see it.
Oh, you don't see the screen? Okay, sorry, hold on. Let me... Okay, let me share it again. Can you see this?
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay. So yeah, sorry about that. Let me just repeat again. So this is an example of how a business manager looks like. So this is where you first come to the platform to understand, to create all your business information. So the business manager is the first step. And as you can see right now, this is the main dashboard of how it looks like. For example, here I have 3 businesses that I'm currently managing. So if you want to start, all you need to do is just create a new business, type in your business name, and your email address as well. And then after that, you will get a code and you can kickstart from there. And over here is where you can see the full power of Facebook when it comes to digital marketing. Because over here, you can also see how you can manage your business. You can see, you can even add your own shop locations, your images and your videos, your business settings. And then moving on, if you want to start doing advertisements, that is where you can advertise with them. And then you can create your own ad account, You can look at the different types of audiences that you can create. There even is a creative hub and an ads manager. And then lastly, these are the other tools that you can also create that you can use to really help with your business. For example, looking at analytics. So that is where you will learn how people engage with your business. What are they looking at? And are they looking at your ads more on desktop, or are they looking more on your ads on mobile? And then lastly, which I think is a very powerful tool, is the catalog manager and the commerce manager. So for example, if you don't have a website, that is fine. You can actually create the products here. You can upload your own inventory to Facebook and Instagram, and you can even have them buy your products, like an e-commerce platform for them if you don't have a website, which I think is very useful. And then over here, for example, this is a page example of how you want to create a page like. So it's very important to make sure to know what your business is about. If it's an e-commerce, make sure that you have all the correct tabs that you want to tap on. And also make sure that you have your information filled up like this, for example, that talks about what your business is about. And also make sure that if you, like I mentioned, if you have more things to sell, you can always go to the shop section and then you can start creating your own products. So yeah, so this is an overall of how the entire platform looks like. It will be good if you can even head down and try it by yourself. So over here is an example of how an ads manager look like. So if you are creating ads for your business, this is how it will look like basically. So over here are all examples of the campaigns. And over here in this section is the people that you want to target. And then lastly over here is how you create the ads. So this is how the images will look like. What are your text captions? Do you want to use a video, or do you want to use an image, for example? So, sorry, just hold on for the thing to load. So yeah, so this is how it will look like. And you can even create your own video as well. That's something that helps you with it. And then over here is where you will create your own caption, and then a website and a link to how they would want your audiences to reach out to you. So yeah, so that is the gist of the Facebook business platform. You can try it out on your own, but if you already have a business domain, that means your business is already registered, then you can sign up for a business manager. If not, then you can just only create a business page for now. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. So what you saw overall over here in this slide is the complete list of the features that we just talked about. So from managing your business and what you can do, to advertising, to analyzing and reporting, to setting up your own Facebook store. And for Facebook Ads Manager, this is where you create your own advertisements. So it will be very good if it's for campaigns that is more on about brand awareness. For example, if you want to launch new products, or if you have big promotional sales, or if you're looking for people's contact number or emails, that's when you would create a lead generation post. And also if you have a website that is built, you can also create ads to lead them to your website. And one tip that I would give you is that if you would want to have your business ad manager, it should be for a long-term process. I wouldn't suggest you creating them for just 1 month and then stopping, because it is not worth the effort in you creating the entire dashboard. And for creative ad formats, as you know, Facebook has many formats that you can do. There is carousel, there is video, there is stories. So you really have the flexibility to choose what you want to what content you want to promote, and Facebook is able to help you with that as well. And lastly, we have advanced features. So this is more for those who are already familiar with Facebook. So what a Facebook website pixel is about is basically tagging your website. So Facebook knows that this website belongs to you, and if you were to have any ads, Facebook can track who actually bought your purchases on your website, so which is very useful. And also, custom audiences are used for people if you are in a very niche industry. For example, let's say you are selling products like handcraft leather watches, or you are a B2B company that is selling satellite imagery, for example. So those very niche audiences, that is when a custom audiences is very useful for. Yeah. Okay, so overall, when it comes to Facebook, it is really important to, of course, make sure that your content is relevant, and to always put visuals and mobile format first. Why I say mobile is because people are usually on their Facebook through their mobile. They don't usually view Facebook on your desktop. Personally, for me, I'm always on my mobile when it comes to Facebook. So whenever you're crafting content, always ensure that it is mobile friendly, or you can do it in a stories format, or you can do it in a video format. And always be visual about it. Make sure that your designs are well designed with eye capturing colors, for example, because that is what sets you apart from the other content that you have on your feed. And secondly, you might want to make sure that you have your post timings right. So that is where you are tracking what time of day your fans are most active or they are online. And you can continue to focus your engagements with them during the specific timings to help grow your community even further. And thirdly, it's also very important to interact with your customer and fans whenever you get a chance to them. Always try to be active on your page, and always try to maintain your brand voice as well. And lastly is to be credible with your information. As you know, with social media, there's so many news nowadays with the fake news spreading, and then we have a lot of content that is not regulated, or is not fully abiding by the privacy laws. So if you have your own page, you have to be responsible for your own content and making sure that everything is fact-checked before you post it, because it's okay to have content that is viral, but if you're spreading fake news or false news, then it doesn't give your business a very positive information. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Instagram. As you know, Instagram, it is mostly for the younger demographics. It is a place where people are more focused towards visual expression. And it is all about inspiration and motivation, and of course, wanting to live that sort of lifestyle-based social activity. And of course, you know that Facebook app is currently, it was bought under Facebook. So whenever you want to do your own Facebook ad, your Instagram ad, you can also do that from Facebook itself. And for Instagram, it's where people want to find and discover things that interest them, including products and services. And it is a very useful tool for businesses of all sizes to find customers on Instagram. And of course, they are able to reach them with that large global community. And you can also use Instagram for free to grow your business organically. If you don't want to pay for it, then just you have to make sure that you have a very, very strong content strategy for it. For Instagram, business is really, really simple. I would say it's more simpler than what you saw for Facebook earlier on, where you had 3 different steps. So for Facebook, all you need to do is just make sure that you connect your business account to your Instagram account. And then that is where you can convert it to a business profile. And that is when you will start posting content to obviously start making sure that you grow your followers. So 3 things for the Instagram business tool that is very important is, of course, the Instagram feed. As you know, for Instagram, everything is visual based. So it's really important for you to make sure that your pictures are attention grabbing. And you don't have to put a lot of text or copy to it, because most people are usually looking at the photos. And in the Instagram Explore, this is where your ads would be. Prominently, it will be over here in this section. And you can see that over here is a curation of content from other people for you to find more inspiring content for you. And lastly is the Instagram shopping. So if you are selling clothes and t-shirts or any other consumables, it is a great chance for people to know more about your products. So that is when you would tap onto Instagram shopping. This is a paid advertisement, and then you can even have them labeled with prices and your product information. So when it comes to Instagram, try to keep it simple. And as you know, everything is visual based. It is not recommended to put and spam as much text as you can. Always have a killer bio, which is a killer biography, and make sure that you have all your links to your website with your contact information and a short one-liner about your business. And always make sure that you have your designs and your posts consistent. You can be mindful of your color palettes, your design style, and as well as consistency with your fonts. Thirdly, you might want to make sure that your captions are short. Anything longer than 2,200 characters will be snipped, and this includes hashtags as well. And also, as I mentioned, always be visual first, and use popular formats like stories, as well as adding images of people have also been known to have higher engagement rates. Always use emojis. It is very popular to have emojis. This will ensure instant impact and viewability for your followers. And lastly, hashtags. Hashtags are very big because that is where people find out more about other brands. For example, with a hashtag, if you were to type it into Instagram, you can see that there is a list of posts that will follow. So it's a good way for people to know about your brand, for example. Okay, so moving on to Twitter. Twitter right now is currently one of the growing communities for social media. It currently has a base of 300 million, and as you can see, 90% of them are under 35 years old. So what Twitter does is it works best for visually appealing content, lifestyle, and personalities. And this is also a place where the younger generation are usually, and they are also mostly online, as you can see from their behavior. Introduction to Twitter. It's the place where people come to discover what's happening. So people who are on Twitter, they usually get the first-hand information on news that's released, and they also they know what's trending. They also get to explore what's happening out there in the world right now. And the unique thing about Twitter is that it actually helps businesses and brands connect with audiences as well. And if you are running a small business and you are not using Twitter, I would say that you are also missing out on a great opportunity, because as I mentioned, people who go onto Twitter, that is where they discover new brands, and they are more likely to visit a company's website when you are posting more relevant things for them. So for Twitter, what is very important is a success strategy. So that would be discovering what's happening right now. And for example, Twitter can give you access to what's happening in your industry, in your community, and happening at the very moment. So for Twitter, it is very useful for you to listen and to engage with the relevant conversations happening around the world. And also with Twitter, it's also very helpful if you can be mindful of your increase your impact by using Twitter regularly. So compared to Facebook and Instagram, where I say you will only have to create about an average of 3 to 5 posts a week, with Twitter, that is where you have to create a post a day, or maybe even up to 5 tweets per day. So Twitter is, as you know, it's a shorter version of a Facebook post, and you need to have very, very minimal text to it. So with that is why the frequency of the Twitter tweets are much more higher compared to your other social media platforms. And with Twitter, you can also provide timely customer service. People who are talking about products on Twitter, it is usually a place for customer service to reply back to them. And It is also where you can use a customer service to quickly respond to people, and that will help you put your business in a good reputation and strong relationship with the customers. And lastly, if you want to connect with potential customers, you can even connect with influencers online or even celebrities. So that will help boost your company and your business even more. Because I would say this would be under influencer marketing, where if you were to get a celebrity to endorse your product, that helps you get much more viewability and reach for your followers. And then they will also discover your brand outside of your personal network and discover new circles that you never even knew existed. So overall, for Twitter, it is very helpful for you to really engage and be with the community to really drive valuable connections with them. Okay, let me just take a break for a while. Did you have any questions for now? Let me just look at the chat.
And so far.
Yeah, I think my question would be, for the most part, a question might be: is Facebook Business Manager free?
Yes, it is free.
Okay.
So yeah, but the only thing with Facebook Manager is it needs to be you need to have your email registered, which means that in your email it needs to have your business name on it. So it cannot be like @gmail.com, then it won't register. So it needs to be, for example, an @getstartedinternational.com registered email. Yeah, so if you try putting in a Gmail account or your own personal account, it won't go through because it needs to be a proper and approved business entity for you.
Okay. And yeah, I think the next question would be for creating a personalized business email. Where can we go to for that? Would you have suggestions for that, Coach?
Creating a personalized, yeah. So you can actually, so as you know, you all have like your own personal Gmails, right? You can actually turn that into a corporate one as well. So it's called the Google Suite. So let me just write it here, Google Suite. Let me send you a link for it. So this is a much more simpler way of creating it, making sure that you have all your business information on it, and it actually helps you with different tools to help you run your business. Let me send you a link here. And this is unfortunately it's paid, of course. So it will be, sorry, let me just send this again. Okay, can you see it now? There's a link that I sent in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very helpful tool. It's paid. It's about $6 a month, and which I think is quite cheap, to be honest. It's much more cheaper than using Microsoft or Yahoo as a business email. And over here, you can actually create. You can even use it to create PowerPoint slides. You can use it to create your invoices. You can use Excel sheets, documents. You can even run meetings, for example, in Google Chats, and all that is covered under the Google Suite. So it is really simple to sign up as well. Really, really easy to sign up. Continuing back, so earlier on we talked about Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now I will be going through with the next 3 platforms for social media, and that is starting with YouTube. I'm sure everyone here knows what YouTube is. It is one of the it is the growing platform channel for social media. Surprisingly, based on our latest report, YouTube is actually the second most fastest growing community compared to all the other social media. Number 1 is, of course, TikTok, which we will be going through later on as well. So everyone should know what YouTube is. It is the largest video sharing social network with over 6 billion hours of video watched on a monthly basis. And that is an opportunity for businesses to reach their audiences. And YouTube and social media go hand in hand perfectly, because mostly everyone now prefers to watch YouTube. It is where everyone gets bite-sized information. They get reviews. They watch videos for entertainment or comedy. So it goes really, really well with social media. And thirdly, it is also a platform and with active comment section, with the comment section actually becoming a community themselves. So that is where people actually put in their thoughts, they share their opinions, their comments, what they love, what they don't love about the video. And that in itself can be shared to other platforms like Facebook and Twitter as well. And if you would see in YouTube, usually YouTube is very, very vast. It has so much information. It has so many different topics like information, music videos, movies, movie trailers, for example. But as a business, there should be 3 types of content that you should be focusing on. The first one is, of course, entertainment channels. So over here, you can see a picture of Ellen DeGeneres. Her type of content is an entertainment because it is more or less with information that is built around something that is casual, less business-like, and it is more it's more interest-based for people who want to reach a wider interest. And it can also be something that is content of viral information. So people use entertainment channels, for example, if they are doing short comedy videos like your memes, for example, if they are doing funny reviews, if they are doing a compilation of different funny things, for example. And secondly, we have the education channels. So these are information where it is informative, but it is more for knowledge sharing. And an education video is something that is more for teaching. So this can be for schools and for students and for universities, or it can also be for general knowledge. Examples of these would be, for example, the TED Talks. It can also be from the BBC channel, it can be from Discovery Channel. So it's all about sharing knowledge about the different topics about the world, about community, about history. And the thing about education channels is that they don't have to push or sell very hard. It's all about sharing of knowledge. And lastly, we have informative channels. So this is where people watch or head to when they want to get information fast. So, for example, for me, on a personal note, I was recently looking for a pair of headphones, wireless headphones, and after reading so many blog articles, I realized that I couldn't find anything interesting, or I wasn't really looking what I was looking for. And all these blog articles, they seem to be very biased, or they weren't really that descriptive. And also in these blog articles, they didn't contain information about the actual product itself. So I wanted to see something about the wireless headphone in actual real time, of how it looks like, how people interact with it. So that was when I watched a video comparing the 3 different wireless headphones. Like in this picture, you can see it is comparing between the Sony, the AirPod, and the Sennheiser. And this video, I was able to see how it fit in my ear, how I was able to test it out, how the music sounded, and all the other features that the YouTube blogger was able to share. So that was something that was very useful to me, and that is something that you can also give value to your customer as a business, for example. So for YouTube, when it comes to making sure that you are set up for success, it is very important to make sure that you take into account the 4 following factors here. And the first one would be making sure that you insert keywords and phrases into your titles. Sometimes we know when you go into YouTube, you have all these catchy titles. For example, when it comes to weight loss, how to grow a bootylicious butt, or for example, how to tone your abs. So making sure that you have the right keywords and phrases in your titles already gives your audiences the first instant impact to making sure that you click on your video. And another thing is because YouTube is actually linked to SEO. So I'm not sure if you realize, but sometimes when you type in a YouTube video into Google, you can actually see it appear on Google itself, and some of the keyword phrases will actually pop out. So that is because when it comes to YouTube, they do take into account SEO. SEO is called search engine optimization. It's all about how your content ranks better on a Google search. So the more relevant your content is, the higher it will be placed on the Google first page. And of course, if it's placed on the first page, that is where most people are usually. Most people don't usually go further than 2 or 3 pages. So that is where you really want to capture your audiences. And make sure that your title contains all the keyword phrases that is essential to you increasing your video visibility, and make sure that your max word count is at least 70 characters. Secondly, you might also want to incorporate keywords in your descriptions. So under the video, usually you would see a section about the description of the video itself, and the max word count is 5,000. So it's also very important to make sure that your keywords has all the relevant keywords content inside this caption as well. And thirdly, it is also very important to fine-tune your transcripts or your captions. So why it's important is because of SEO again. So Google actually reads all these transcripts and all of these captions from YouTube videos, and they actually take the time to optimize all the captions, and then it will actually help rank your YouTube page better. So because of this, it actually helps to boost your page of a YouTube and your videos as well. So do take note of that. And lastly, make sure that your thumbnails, so thumbnails are the small little images at the side corner, where it will contain a certain text, or it will contain certain memes, or contain certain captions that is very eye-catching. So that in itself is already very important, because if you optimize it, it would actually be more eye-catching to your viewers. And if you are not focusing on SEO too much, then it is a good opportunity for you to make sure that it's eye-catching. Yeah. So moving on to LinkedIn, over here, so if you're not very familiar what LinkedIn is, it is actually a platform for professionals. So people who are like executives or managers who are mostly in the professional sector, and this would be your PMEBs, for example. And LinkedIn is all about building connections and networks. So it actually has a very strong platform. It is not as strong as the other ones like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, but they do have a base of 562 million users. And LinkedIn is, the main power of LinkedIn is all for businesses. If you want to connect with B2B companies, or if you want to connect with professionals. So it is also the top rated social network for lead generation. And it is also a good place for you to help expand your social professional network. So anybody can sign up for LinkedIn. It's a free platform. That is where you would have, an example here is a profile picture of yourself, your current profession, whether it's senior manager or an executive or an assistant or a coordinator. And then you can also add in a short information about yourself, like your background, your working background, which universities you studied for, etc. And you can even upload your own interests, what professional interests you're interested in. And if you have a company that is in B2B, which is business to business, you can also set up a company for free, and you can start posting up your own professional content about it. But do note, for LinkedIn, it is something that is a bit more corporate, so the tone is more different. Whereas for Facebook, you can post things that are viral, entertaining, but for LinkedIn, everything has to be professional, as if you were working in a corporate society. Yeah. And best practices for LinkedIn page is to make sure that, like I mentioned, always have your relevant keywords and phrases to describe more about what you are doing on LinkedIn. You can talk about your business, your expertise, what are your skill sets, and what industry you're in. You can also put in your company info, your website URL, location, what is the industry you're in, and how big is your staff. And lastly, you can also add in a call to action. So how would you want people to interact with your page? For example, they would like to know more, so they can put and inquire more or learn more or contact me now. Yeah. And the good thing about LinkedIn, similarly to Facebook, they also do have a LinkedIn group. So that is where people from the same professional or same industry come together and share more about their personal experiences. For example, I'm a digital marketer, so I would join a group that's in digital marketing, and we would share tips with each other, get to know more other people in the same line of work. And with that, you can also identify groups with members who are prospective clients or influencers in your industry, and then work together to create content such as articles, how to do articles, guides, and blog posts that is very relevant to the group. And lastly, you can also connect with members who share similar interests, and this will help you boost your professional network. For example, if you are in digital marketing but you want to know someone who is in HR or in sales, this is the platform you come to get to know them in their professional network setting. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to TikTok. This is a very new platform. It is currently growing. It's originated from China, and they are currently operating worldwide with major offices in US, currently in Singapore, and globally. So yeah, so the whole point of TikTok is to share short videos and adding playful effects with a very addictive filters. So I would say it's similar to Snapchat like previously, but the power of TikTok is its huge audience base in the younger generation. So as you can see, in just 1 year, TikTok managed to get 4 times of its monthly installs, from 20 million to 75 million. And the age group for TikTok users would be anywhere between 13 to 25 years old. So it's usually for the younger generation, and this is the generation that likes to do a lot of movement, they like to do a lot of dance movement. Everything has to be very eye-catching. It has to be very entertaining as well, and it is completely opposite of anything that is serious. So for TikTok, if you're a business that's willing to try TikTok, even though it's a new player to the industry, you can try, but do note if your business is more that is catered towards for example, selling children's clothes or selling teenage clothes or for school-related businesses, then I would suggest TikTok is a good platform for you to reach them. And the 4 things on the slide you can see are some of the suggestions that you can try for your businesses to really get in front of your audiences. And firstly, you can start with jumping on board trends. So TikTok is very well known for its trends in almost everything, from animals to comedy lip syncs, fashion, beauty transitions, fitness workouts, tips, camera hacks, pranks, and tutorials and challenges. So if you are able to jump on board any of these trends, very soon you will be ranking up, and then you'll be one of the most popular watch videos in the explore section. So that is a great way for you to get your company ahead of everyone else. And as I mentioned, it is a platform that is catered for Gen Z and millennials, so anyone under 25 years old. And TikTok is very easy to use. It's very easy to sign up as well. You can also use their video tools, and you can also use them to create your own videos with the different filters, the different icons and emojis. And it is something that is very embraced by everyone, even companies, celebrities, and influencers as well. So everyone is jumping on board them. But do note that the content still has to be catered towards something that is for the younger generation. And thirdly, we have jam-packed with creative formats. So the app is currently packed with a lot of cool video editing, and it is also very easy to use. If you have no experience on using it, you can use it very simply because everything is in a very easy format, so it shouldn't be that confusing to use as well. And lastly, even though it is currently a growing community, there are businesses out there that are currently jumping on board to gain advantage and grow their community further by promoting their brand. So that is for TikTok. Any questions on that before I move on to my next?
None.
Hi, Coach. I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, I have clarification with TikTok because before there was an article that is circulating online saying that TikTok is a spy. I just want to have this one clarified as well. I'd like to check, or I'd like to hear the insight of on the professional side, because of course other people can just easily say that it's a spy because of the article that is circulating online. But I'd like to hear your your opinion with that one as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. What you're asking is very true. It's very relevant. So thank you for that. I've also seen the article. It's actually something that is not fake news. It has been a growing concern for all TikTok users and companies as well about their privacy issues, or whether or not their data is being collected by TikTok users. As you know, TikTok was created originally by another company called ByteDance, and ByteDance originated in China. So they are the owners of this TikTok app, and because of this, there are a lot of people who are, I would say, not happy, or they are very concerned. And I think it has also been proven by Apple that TikTok is collecting some of the data, but I would say it is a portion of it. For example, whatever you post in your notes, I think that can be captured by TikTok. But it really depends on the company or the business that you are working with. So if you are working for a company that is they are more concerned about their privacy, then I wouldn't suggest you listing or you even doing anything on TikTok, because it just sends the wrong message. But if you are a company that is I guess partial to the information around, then and if they want to prioritize on getting out their brand or their product to people on TikTok, then I guess they can do that. Because right now the information that's coming out of TikTok is still it's not fully developed, so it is a growing content. I would say a growing progress that we need to monitor to see how it is. Yeah, because I know right now there are certain countries out there that have banned TikTok, like India, for example, and recently, just today, I think US is also banning TikTok. So it really depends. So talk to your clients, ask them how they feel about TikTok. Be transparent with them. Obviously, outweigh the pros and cons. The cons would be there might be a data privacy concern, and they might have information spilled out which they are not comfortable with, and that's fine. But then think about the pros, because you are reaching a younger audience, and it is also one of the fastest growing platforms out there, and it's also much more easier to put out content as well. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Another question. I'm sorry. Regarding with under YouTube, fine tune your transcripts and closed captions. I'm sorry, I was unable to understand this part.
Okay, so no worries. So have you uploaded YouTube videos before or done any YouTube? You mentioned that you're a blogger, right?
Yeah, because actually, currently, I'm on the process of having my channel monetized. So I'm just currently trying to reach the 4,000 watch hours so that I can apply for the monetization. So actually, almost all of the information that you provided me is very useful, and some of those are already I'm already exercising that. But
Okay.
for this specific one, I'm sorry, fine tune your transcripts. I wasn't able to catch it.
Yeah, so as you know, YouTube, they are currently being crawled by Google. So what that means is, like a website, Google will actually search your YouTube page for relevant keywords. So when people are searching for certain things, and if they want it in a video format, then if Google sees that your everything in your page, whether it's your description, your titles, even your captions, is relevant and has the correct keywords, then that is when it will show up as like a first option to users. So when it comes to fine tuning your captions, it's actually sorry, yeah. So I guess what it's saying is it matters whether or not you are putting in effort in your captions, because you do have the option. You have the option as a blogger or anyone uploading YouTube videos. You can automatically create your own one, or you can type it out manually and upload it. So the fine tuning your transcripts, right, actually means that it would be good if you were to able to actually craft and make sure that it is easy for Google to crawl the captions.
Okay, so based on I understand it, is it like choosing being consistent with the usage of words, or and also being or choosing like the simple words that that the viewers or the other people could actually type into the Google whenever they search it? Is that what it means?
Sorry. What it actually means is, sometimes when you upload YouTube videos, you have the option of auto-generating the caption. Yeah. So that's what it means. Sometimes when you auto-generate, sometimes the words might not actually match what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, so it might actually be a disconnect, or you might say another word, for example. So I think that's what it means. So it actually would help if you would. It's more easier, even though it's time consuming. It's actually better to manually upload it by yourself into the platform. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I got it. Okay, thank you, Coach.
No worries. Any other questions? If no questions, then I will proceed to the next lesson. Okay, so moving on, over here we will talk about how to grow your social media marketing strategy. And I will also show you some examples of what I have done for some of my previous clients and what tools I use to really help me manage the content, so that it's easier for me as a VA, and also easier for me to manage everything much more faster and to be more productive. So as you know, over here is a snapshot of the current social media platforms. Do ignore Google over there. But we do have the other ones like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We don't have TikTok yet because that is currently still, it has not been released by them officially. So I wouldn't want to put that in yet. But over here, we are going to discuss about what things to consider when it comes to building your own strategy. So the most important thing I would have to say is to take into account your demographics. understand who your people are, who your audiences are, and who you're trying to target. So over here you can see, obviously, Facebook is the one with the most number of users at 1.28 billion. And the demographic is we have about 65% of them that are female and 35% that are male. So we have more females browsing on Facebook. And most of them are aged between 18 to 34, and the rest are aged between 31% of them are aged from 35 to 54. The remaining data is currently unknown, so we don't know what the other remaining portion is. And for Facebook, we know that it's currently a social network leader with the largest audience, and it tends to focus more on interacting with your friends and family. So that is why Facebook is known for connections and building relationships. And if you're a business owner that, for example, tends to focus more on relationships and families, this is where you would actually be very cautious of making sure that you are including Facebook as one of your platforms. And if you go down into the rest of the other platforms, we have Twitter at 255 million users. Again, we have a large portion of them from the female users, and 66% of them are within 15 to 34 years old. And as you know, it is currently a network that is geared towards conversations around shorter messages. So you have to make sure that your content is under 140 characters. And then, thirdly, we have LinkedIn. So this is a professional network. It has 300 million users. It has about 39 female and 61 male, and about 60% of them are between the age range of 25 to 54. And it is all about building professional connections to aid career development. And then we have Instagram, with also a very high amount of users. Most of them are again females, and 90% of them are under 35 years old. So this would be those within the Gen Z and the millennial age group, and it is also a platform for sharing visual, inspiring content. And lastly, we have YouTube at 1 billion users, and it is predominantly a wide range of group between 18 to 34, and it's also a platform for hosting and sharing video content. So taking into consideration all these different factors, when it comes to planning your social media strategy, you have to take note of the demographic, which is the age group, how old they are. Do you want to target people who are in the Gen Z, who are in the millennials, or you want to target the general population? And also, you have to take into consideration the type of content that you want to put in. For example, are you a video creator? So you will be creating mostly videos. So that is when you will want to use them on YouTube, for example, or you can even use Facebook as another channel for you. And also consider the business nature of your company. Are you a B2C or are you a B2B company? Because if you are B2B, then it makes more sense for you to publish yourself on LinkedIn versus Instagram, for example. But if you are a B2C company where you are selling mostly consumer products like shoes, clothes, are you in travel, are you selling food, then it would be better for you to be on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So over here is an example of a dashboard. I use Trello for my to how I manage my social media, and I will share with you the link later as well. So obviously over here is an example of how I use this to manage my social media marketing. So in the first column here, I write down all my different posts or post ideas that I can schedule in for the upcoming week. And then over here is all the important details and important things that I want to make sure that I make a post about. For example, any public holidays or any special dates that are relevant to your company or to your business. So in this case, the company is called Instagram. It is an education portal, so it's like an online tuition platform. And so what I want to take into account is the exam period for most of the students here in Singapore are taking note of. And then further dates for them when they're doing their revision. And then of course, other holidays like Teacher's Day or Student's Day, for example. And then I would also include a special shout out for any promotions or discounts for the students. And then from here, I would list them all out by different weeks so that I know which post to post on which days that are relevant. And then have them scheduled for specific days, for example, over here. So yeah, so this is one example. Another one is this company called 𝗚𝗏𝘁𝗧𝗩. What they're doing is they're selling organic spices and turmeric, for example, as one of their spice. So over here, I have them. So this is a dashboard that is shared with the client. So this is what I show to the client before I post out or schedule anything. So I make sure that all the labels here are simple for them, so they know that green is approved, orange means I'm currently working on it, red means I've not started any work, and then blue means they've already been scheduled. So over here you can see they have similar content to what was shared here, because over here I have, for example, more information on how to use the product. I have an article link about the benefits of using the spice. I have another FAQ, or I have another post here that talks about what I can do with the product, and similar contents that is related to the business. Any questions on this? So I would say this is more related to being a social media VA, because you really need to know what sort of tools that you need to help be more productive in your work. Yeah. Any questions? If no, yeah.
I don't have any question, Coach.
Okay, so I will move on to my next lesson then. Okay, so now moving on to the next one, which is crafting relevant content for social media. So as you know, with social media, there is so many different platforms, there are so many different formats, sizes, tags and captions that you need to be aware of. But before you kickstart any strategy, I would say that there are 5 pointers that you need to be wary of when it comes to building out your own social media. So the first one would be to gain a deep understanding of who your target customers are. And to make sure that you understand what are their desires, their wants, and their needs. And this is called creating target personas. So it is all about making a profile of your potential customers and understanding who they are, where they go to, where they shop, how old they are, what is their gender, what are their likes and dislikes. After you have built that, then you can move on into crafting simple messages for your target personas at each stage of the funnel, and this is called single-minded value propositions. So from here, this is where you need to segment your buying process into different funnels, which I will discuss later on in the slide. And then from there, craft out each message for your persona so that you can move them along the different stages of the funnel. For example, from awareness to consideration to actually buying and converting them to be a customer of your business. And third, we have to make sure that we are able to deliver each message by the right format. For example, choosing your content types. So it is not about being a typical blog post or just posting out one post on Facebook and then that is it. It is about how you share and package that content to the different platforms that you have online. And the fourth step would be to make sure that you create content that is attention grabbing. Because as you know, with social media, there's so much content that is being published each second, and you want to be able to distinguish yourself and to be relevant for your customers enough that it grabs their attention and they make sure that they remember you for being a good relatable brand. And lastly is to make sure that your target persona sees and consumes the content that you create. So after you created all the different steps, you might want to make sure that you know which channels channels to distribute them to, and how you can optimize them further to get more reach. Okay, so the first step would be crafting relevant content. So as I mentioned, this is where your customers get more, I would say, where you would target them, and then understanding what are their wants, needs, and desires. And for example, over here is an example of a buyer persona or a target persona. For example, this couple here is called Johnny and Liz. They're about 26 years old. They are about to get married, and they are currently planning for their honeymoon. And they have only just started their looking process. So that means they're still early on in the funnel stage, where they are still researching, they are browsing, and they're reading up content about where to get married and how to plan their wedding. And some other side interests that they're interested about is, for example, clean eating. So I guess they're more mindful about diets and etc. And they are also passionate about sustainability. For example, recycling, reducing their consumption of materials. An example of how you can use this is by going on to the different platforms and then being able to research for them. For example, over here in the picture is an example from Facebook. It gives you really great insight on who your people are. You can even search for them by their age, by their gender, their interests, and you can get to know them by even countries. So over here is the United States, but you can change it to whichever country you are in. For example, in the Philippines or Singapore, and then it would pull out the data that is relevant to your page and your business. And over here, we have the second step, which is crafting relevant content. So this is where I mentioned where you have to be mindful of the different messaging that you take into account. For example, over here in the picture, Lyft is similar to Grab, but it is currently based in US, and it is like a ride-hailing app. So what Ride did is they were an entirely new company, and they wanted to get on board more riders and drivers. So what they did was they listed out the different messaging that is appealing to both ends of the app user. So for riders, there would be people like us who will want to take a ride, who will want to use a Grab hailing app. So for rider, for example, the messaging they used was, you need to move around better. You need a better way to move around, which means that they focus on efficiency of transport. And they also mentioned ride sharing is easy and cheap. So they're talking about how much more cheaper it is for us to book a ride with Lyft versus taking the normal transport, like private cars or taking the train or the bus, for example. And they also talk about get your first Lyft ride. So they talk about how easy it is. So that user experience is much more easier and the customer service is much more faster. And lastly, they also encourage people to share more about Lyft and earn trips as well. So these are the 4 different messaging that is used to appeal to riders, for example. And then on the driver's end, what they use for the messaging is, for example, you need extra income. So these are for drivers to earn an extra source of income. And you can even use it with their car, for example, as simple as that, even their car or motorbike. And you can use it to apply to Lyft and use your first trip and to continue to drive to earn rewards. So if you can see, all these different messages, they appeal at every single stage of the funnel, from awareness to consideration, and then finally to conversion. And then lastly, to further earn more by monetization. So that is what it means by crafting by crafting simple messages for each of your target personas at each stage. It doesn't have to be a very complicated text or a message. Break down the message into a much more simpler way for your clients to understand. And as long as it moves them from one funnel to the next, then you know that it is working. So always remember to be simple and make sure that it is easy to understand, and it has to be specific to each persona. For example, as we mentioned here, there can be multiple personas. For example, there can be people who are about to get married, or they can be for mothers, they can be for parents, for students, for workers, for professionals. They can be as many as you want, but then you would have to make sure that it is specific to each of them. And then lastly, make sure that you address the need of this persona at each stage of the funnel. And lastly, make sure that this messaging leads them or pushes them from one stage to the other. So they are not stuck at a stage where they are at awareness, where they know about your brand, but they're not doing anything about it. Because as a business, you would obviously want to make sure that they end up converting or you end up making a sale. So each message should push them from awareness to consideration to the final stage. Okay, so going back onto our content strategy, earlier on we talked about making sure that you target who are your actual audiences, and then making sure that you are able to craft out exact and simple messages for your target personas. And then now we are going on into making sure that you choose the right format to deliver these messages for your audiences. So over here you can see that this funnel over here is the general strategy when it comes to social media. We have our awareness, which is the beginning of any user who starts to browse your business page. So in this phase, which is called awareness, which is also called 𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏 is top of funnel understanding. And then we have 𝗏𝗏, which is middle of funnel. And then we have 𝗏𝗏, which is bottom of funnel. So in the 𝗏𝗏, which is the top of the funnel, which is your awareness stage, this is people who have zero knowledge about your brand, your business. They don't know you at all. They don't know you exist. They don't know what you sell. They don't know what you are providing. So this is where it is the role of the company and the business to make sure that you educate and you entertain and you inspire your potential customers. Because from here, you'll be able to get them interested, or you get them to familiarize yourself with your consumers. And then if we move on to the second stage, which is the consideration, which is the middle of funnel, we have to make sure that we have to ensure that the message is easy to understand, ensure that there is no frictions when it comes to moving your audiences across the different funnels, and making it super simple for them to buy a product or to get a service from you, and overall to make sure that it is easy for them to become a customer. And then lastly, we go to the purchase, which is the bottom of the funnel. Similarly, you have to make sure that it is easy for them to become a customer, because once you have done the work in the awareness and the consideration, converting them is all about giving them the additional push to buy your product. And you also have to note that when it comes to all of the entire funnel, you have to sort of do a storytelling and make sure that there is a flow to what you are trying to tell your customers. Because if you are just giving out posts that is just all about sales, or buy my product, or call me now to do this, or call me now to do that, they won't be interested at all, because it will just seem like you are spamming them and the content is not relevant. So it has to be a very slow and steady process. There has to be a lot of knowledge building, especially in the awareness portion, where it's all about educating them. And then moving on to the consideration, where they would know about your brand, but they still need a bit of push. So this is when you will offer them free things like freebies or discounts or offers. And then lastly, to make them a actual customer is to go in the extra mile by giving them a heavily discounted offer, or giving them a referral link, or even a wide sale on your website. So these would be the 3 ways, and you need to also consider them of the different funnel stages. So moving on to the fourth part is fairly important as well. This is where the actual work gets done, and I would say is the time where you would actually spend when it comes to building up your social media. So When it comes to crafting the relevant content, you want to make sure that it is the actual content that people want to consume, and it helps you to achieve your overall business goals. And this is making sure that it is attention grabbing. So it's all about getting the eyeballs first. So remember that as a business owner, as a social media marketer, as a business or a company, your goal is to create content that people want to consume. So you have to take into consideration 4 different aspects, which is 1, is it helpful or actionable? Can your audience take any information or put into action right away? So for example, if you are providing content about how to lose weight, for example, is this information helpful for them, or are you telling them general stuff, for example? And can they take an action on it? For example, can they subscribe to your channel, or can they buy your diet plans, or can they subscribe to a gym membership? So it's all about moving them across the funnel, like I mentioned. Secondly, is it interesting? So is your audience getting something that's new and different from the different million pieces of content already out there? Or are you giving them something niche, fresh, new, bold ideas to consume for them? For example, R&B, they did a very interesting post that's all related to inspiration. So as I mentioned, it is very image heavy. So it is all about inspiring them compared to the other pieces of information that's already out there. Thirdly, is it entertaining? Is it something that your audience will enjoy while they consume it, and will they want to share it? So when we're talking about entertaining, we're talking about whether or not it's viral, whether or not it's funny, it made you remember the video, or it made you remember the meme or the piece of information. And will they want to share it to your friends? For example, if I discover a very funny video online, I will want to immediately share it with my family. And then at the same time, if it came from a business or a company, then I remember, hey, this guy did something funny and it was relevant, and I will remember them next time I want to buy something from them. So it's all about putting your brand first at the top of the heads in your consumers. And lastly, is your information easy to consume? So in my experience, I have worked with clients who have zero creative knowledge, and it is they often want to spam all their text, all their words in a single post. So as you know, that doesn't really work, because for example, over here you can see an example. So they wanted to upload PDFs and documents on social media, which is not really it is not recommended at all, because nobody will open it, nobody will look at it. If you are providing an extra value for them, you can do this in the form of an ebook or a document or a template or a spreadsheet, for example, as a downloadable link. But if you want to put it on as a post on social media, it is not recommended, because you won't really get the good engagements for it. So always remember to invest in easy to read and bite-sized images for your consumers, because social media, you only have an average of 2 seconds per post. And if it's something that contains more and a lot of text, your audiences will just scroll by and they will not remember anything that you mentioned. So do remember these 4 factors. Always ask yourself whenever you're creating content whether or not it gives value to your customers or to your audiences, and always make sure that you always invest in a good creative image, and make sure that everything is consistent when it comes to design. So out of everything that we talked about earlier on, I would say that you can summarize the 3 different types of posts into 3 things, which is 1, can your posts, will it improve the lives of your customers? For example, is the content designed to optimize your customers' task or workflow? Will it make their lives better and more fully by utilizing them as well? And make sure that the main goals of this content is to build authority, drive connections, and increase engagements. For example, creating content about your product features, the solutions, about the benefits of why they should buy from you. And then secondly, we have explore and discover. So it's all about customers wanting to get creative and find new ways to use your product. For example, if iPhone, even though you really know the basics, what else can you do with an iPhone? So this is where content that is useful, for example, 5 additional things that you can use with an iPhone, or 5 things you didn't know that an iPhone works. So it's all about building relationships and community, and some of these examples would be sharing opinions, memes and viral videos, and informative videos as well. And lastly, which is the question and answer, it is all about extending your customer service support for any technical issues, problems, and this can actually help with driving your customers to get answers from you. So this would be, example, creating posts like DIY, cooking videos, tutorials, tips and hacks, for example. So some examples of contents that your fan will love. Over here we have 7 different types. There is actually a lot more, but I would generally put this as my basic foundations whenever I'm creating social media content, is to first make sure that the information that you are doing is related to your business, service and industry. And this type of posts could be, for example, announcements from your company, announcements like operating hours. It could be change in address locations. It can be new products, new features and sales. And then we also have non-promotional company information. So this would be information that is related to the company outside of what they usually post. Like, for example, seasonalities like Christmas days, or days when they do volunteering work. So it's all about the PR image of the company. And then thirdly, we have content seeding, which is all about sharing external content related to your page. So this could be articles from other companies, articles from other websites like BBC or CNN or Reddit, for example, that is related to your page. But the content of the page has to be related to your company. For example, if you are a company that is selling t-shirts, then you may want to put up an article that talks about the benefits of sustainable t-shirts, for example. And it's actually useful for it as well, because as a social media marketer, sometimes you might have not enough time to create the post. So content seeding works really well as well, because you're actually repurposing articles from other websites that is still beneficial for your audiences. And we also have engagement posts. So this is all about getting fans to participate in polls, quizzes, recommendations, check-ins, and sharing of their own personal experiences, and really engaging with them so that you know that you have an active community that's constantly building. And we also have user-generated content, UGC. So this is where you can actually repost your own customers' content. For example, if customers want to share posts about them using your product or how to use your product, you can always reuse them, and obviously be sure to recredit them as well. And UGC content usually works much better with social media, because then other people would know that, hey, these people are also using it, and they get a sense of the customer service that they are currently being provided with and how much they love the product. So that is when people would jump on board as well to know more about your company. And lastly, we have current events or any other thing that is related to topics that is to get along, to move along conversations that's happening right now in the world. So always constantly be very keep things in real time and be aware of the things happening around, because if it's on social media, pretty sure that you will get things that are constantly updated, like from the news, from anything that is happening, like for example with TikTok and the censor privacy. So keep things moving by talking about these things to get a good engagement from your customers and audiences. Okay, so now we go into the specific platforms and what sort of content works better for them. So with Facebook, the 2 common formats that works really well and gets the better engagements would be videos and curated content. So videos would be anything, there can be anything under the sun basically. It can be an introduction video or a movie trailer, for example, or comparison site or comparison video. So anything that's in a video format and it is related to education videos, DIYs, or listicles works really well on Facebook. And blog posts and curated content from other websites also works really well, because people are usually doing two things online, and that is usually watching videos or reading articles online. So if you do this, it will work really well. And one thing I would note of is the 80-20 mix. So why 80-20 is because only 20% of your posts should be focused on sales, while 80% of your other content should be engaging. And if you advertise too much, or if you talk too much about like sales or sign up for this, sign up for that, your audiences will experience a fatigue in content. So that means that they are tired of seeing the same thing, so they will begin to switch off, and they won't really find your page relatable anymore. So always try to keep your sales content to 20% of what you're posting, and then you can talk about other things the rest of the other days, for example. Yeah. For Instagram, as we all know that it is a visual content, so what really works well is high-res photos. Really good quality high-res photos. Make sure that they are of at least in the correct size and pixels, and they are not blurred or they are not buffered or pixelated, because that doesn't really give your audiences a good experience from your brand. Because if you were to see a blurred picture on Instagram, you wouldn't really want to click on it at all, because it is not appealing, it is not that good looking for you to continually engage with that post. So always use high-res photos. And in terms of other content that you can also use them for quotes, for example, and stories format. So product photos work really well. Instagram works really well for industries like in the health, fitness, travel. If you're selling a health product, for example, those work really well because those are product-based. And you can upload those to Instagram with a high-res photo, obviously, and it would be more visually appealing for audiences. What also works well is behind the scenes. For example, what's happening in the background. For if you are planning an event, back scene shots always works very well. And we have user-generated content again. So this would be posts and content from other people who have used your product, who have engaged with your brand before. And you can post that up to see what they are currently doing as well. And besides that, it's also a very good investment to focus on stories. So I would say focus on stories first compared to images, because that is where most of the action is. And there is a general shift now towards people watching more stories and actually viewing your scroll feed. And even if they do scroll your feed, right, they'll be looking at the explore section. So go stories first. And with stories, you can do a lot on tutorials, or promoting a blog post, sharing a list, announcing offers and promotions, and you can even have an Instagram takeover guest. So this would be celebrities or influencers that you can even bring on board as well. And what content works? For Twitter, we have news, blog posts, and GIFs. So with Twitter, as you know, there's a 140 character limit. So always keep it short and simple. Always try to keep everything summarized and include links that make sure that is linked to your website or anywhere else that you might want to bring your audiences. And with Twitter, it is not a good idea to spam your audiences with too much text. So always include a lot of infographics, statistics and metrics to keep them interested. And for Twitter, what really works is it's more of a news sharing platform. So this is where you will see a lot of companies and products sharing their upcoming launches. For example, Xbox or PS5, they're going to launch their new platform, which is PS5, coming out soon. So that is what Twitter is usually best known for. And for LinkedIn, it is more about jobs, companies, news, and professional content. So if you're constantly posting out about this thing, is to really help keep your page relevant. And you can also talk about other things like keep them in a summary and a metric version, like an infographic, because on LinkedIn, everything is based around content that is educational and full of knowledge and sharing. So over here, you don't have to worry about keeping your content short. It is more about being an authoritative figure and making sure that you are speaking with more content and knowledge about what you are currently doing. And so over here in the step 5 of crafting the relevant content is making sure that your target persona actually sees and consumes the content that you create. So we have so many different distribution channels over here, like Facebook, your common social media channels. We also have podcasts, external blog, internal blog, sponsored posts, search ads, and webinars. So you really have to deep dive into your audience and understand where are they commonly at, and pick one of them to be your distribution channels and make sure that it's optimized for them to make sure that they get to see your content first. So for example, if you are selling a home cooked food, for example, so if it is home cooked food, make sure that it is on a channel where people usually are. So like Facebook or even YouTube, for example, and then optimizing them for those channels. Okay, so I think that was it for the lesson. Did you have any other questions?
I do have a question, Coach.
Yes.
You have discussed a lot of things from content creation, and you also discussed about photo, the UGC, is that it?
Yes.
Yes, as a social media marketer, do we do all of those things? Or is there certain things or tasks that we are capable of doing, and anything beyond than that is handled by another person?
Are you asking if I create the content, or I choose the content by myself, or am I engaging another person?
Do you do all of those stuff when you do social media marketing? As to what are the scope of a social media marketer? There's a question.
Yeah, definitely. So as a social media marketer, I definitely create the posts. So let me go back here to my slide about. Can you see this slide?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is an example of how it is in a snapshot. So as a social media marketer, you need to be able to craft the own strategy. Like, what are you going to post? Is it relevant? And how can you make sure that the design is working well for social media in the right format, and etc. So it really depends on what is your workload. If you can manage doing all this on a monthly basis or on a project basis for your client, then it's good hands-on knowledge. But if you have a lot of clients and you cannot manage both design and scheduling and editing and copywriting, then it is good to also hire an assistant, for example. So it really depends on your workload. If you have 5 clients and you're doing everything from designing to strategizing to copywriting and scheduling, and then after that looking at the reports and the metrics, then it will be too much of a task. Because for me, I would take about 2 weeks per client just to manage the entire process every single month. So I would create the posts, I would design it, I would write, I would schedule it, I would make sure that the content is relevant, and design it again, and then post it. So all that takes about 2 weeks for me, and the client approves it, and then I will schedule it. But if you have more clients on hand and you cannot manage, then I would suggest you hire an assistant, because it can be quite tough sometimes, especially if you're starting out and you don't know the right tools and what to use. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. So regarding the photos, is that provided by the client?
Yeah, so that depends on the client. So for me, I've handled clients who didn't provide me photos, and some also who did. So for example, a restaurant, they did their own photography, so they were able to provide me really high res quality videos and photos. So I used that as the social media post, and that cut my time and productivity time by about 50% because I didn't have to take the photos myself. And I've also worked with clients who didn't give me anything at all. So that one took up a lot more time because I would have to go down to the client workplace, take snapshots and videos, and then design it from there. But that took up more time because of the time traveling, and obviously doing the photography shots and video shots as well. So it really depends on your client. And if you would want to, it's something that you can charge them more for. For example, if they had their own social media images, then you can charge them something lesser. But if they didn't and you provided that skill, like photography, for example, then you can charge them more for it. But usually when it comes to social media, clients will expect you to do everything for them. So it really depends, again, on your experience and your time.
Wow. That's a lot. But another question, is social media marketing related to ClickFunnels? Or
Yes.
they're two different... Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me show you. So over here in this slide, you can see, right?
Yeah.
So
That is why I asked the question.
yeah, so usually when it comes to like ClickFunnels is the end stage already. So that is when you would drive people from the ads and everywhere else to the actual site to make a purchase. So that is where ClickFunnels comes in. And ClickFunnels is able to give you leads, contacts, emails, and any other information that you want to get. So yeah, it is definitely part of the entire strategy, but it is towards the end stage of the funnel. So which is usually in the purchase part. So if a client asks you if you have any knowledge in ClickFunnels, so that is where you would actually need to provide them the strategy and how you will get them to that last stage, which is making them to become a customer. And ClickFunnels is also a platform itself. So you need to be able to have hands-on knowledge and how to build all these different. You need to be able to build the flow of the customers, because everything is in each different funnels, like from the awareness, consideration, and purchase. So I guess you will need knowledge on how to build them, on how to attract them, convert them, and then make a sale. And all that can be done on the platform ClickFunnels itself.
All right. Thank you for that information, Coach.
Sure. Any other questions?
Hi, ma'am. What is the difference between social media marketing versus social media management? I mean, the role.
Yeah, okay. So for social media marketing is the actual work that is being done on the different channels. Social media management means you are the person managing all these different social media.
Okay.
Social media marketing is the actual work. So that means you go onto Facebook, you do this, you go to Twitter and do that. Social media management means you are employed by someone to manage their social media. Everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, makes sense. Same questions I have. Thanks.
So does that include social media content moderation under social media management?
Social media moderation?
Yes, content moderation. I do that.
Okay, yeah, that's also included. I didn't include that in because that's more like an advanced thing. So social media moderation for the rest of the students here is like social media monitoring. So you are monitoring the conversations online. You are watching what people are talking about, what are they doing, and then from there you are able to understand more about your audience and then fit that into the rest of your social media strategy. So that is definitely one of the I would say it's still part of the strategy, but it's something that you do before you start anything. or you would want to improve things on your platforms.
But that's from different from social media marketing, or is it the same umbrella?
It's under the same umbrella.
Okay.
It's like another task, I would say.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, but most clients, like for me, I don't really, for here in Singapore, we don't really do social media listening unless they are really, really big brands. This can be big brands, like for example, like Dove, for example, Dove the soap. So if they will usually do social media monitoring, if they want to listen to what people are discussing about and they want to know what interests people, so that is when they would hire a social media marketer to do the social listening. But then but then there are also some smaller clients that don't think that it's necessary because they just want to focus on getting sales. So I would say social media listening is when they would want to focus more on their brand and how the image of the company is like, and whether they're getting any brand love for their company.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
No worries.
Also, just to also summarize what I also learned, Coach, from this. Since we're discussing this is just the overview, right?
Yeah.
So this is the bird's eye view of everything. So
yeah,
it tends for someone who is new to social media management, this could be an info overload, because it's a different market. I mean, platforms and all. But how I see it was more on the bird's eye view on how you will plan managing your content and which platform to use. Now, I'm really what really struck me was or got my attention was this funnel. Because back then I was just creating contents here and there, and as you were saying, it was all sales. There was so I'm really thankful that I already saw this, the sales funnel: awareness, consideration, purchase, but I really didn't give it too much thinking on how I would apply it, or in terms of planning. So I just to if I grasped it right. So when I'm planning, for example, a coffee, I'm selling coffee. So for example, on the awareness part, I don't put anything that will lead them to wanting to buy it first. It's more on the awareness. The benefits of coffee, something like that. So
exactly.
yeah, and then next would be or awareness, and then also the benefactors of coffee, the farmers and all that. And then the consideration would be like the what you call that, the discounts, something like that. And then the purchase would be the ease of them ordering the product, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that would be the whole point of awareness. It's more to make your product relatable. So it's all about talking about the features, the benefits, where they come from. Maybe you can do something even funny, like how many cups of coffee you have a day. It's something relatable because everybody has a coffee before they go to work, and then if they're extra stressed, they take like even more cups of coffee. Or if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you need to wake up, you have a cup of coffee. That's sort of like relatable things that you do on a daily basis. And then breaking it down into bite-sized content that they can relate to on a daily basis, and then that will hopefully inspire them to remember about your brand. Like, hey, this brand knows what they're talking about, and the content is very relatable, and I will be interested to know more about what they are doing and what sort of products they have, like where did it come from, is it ethically sourced, that sort of thing. And then making it easier for them to get the information on your website. And then from there, once you have that pool already, then you're able to convert them to a customer. So that is when you would have your promos, your discounts, your 1-for-1s, or any freebies, for example.
Yeah, right. So and in terms of the timeline of your planning, it also will depend on product. But In terms of timeline, what do you think is the most considerable timeline in terms of marketing? Would it be a week or a month? How do you do that?
Yeah, same question here.
Okay. Realistically, it would take anywhere between 2 to 3 months.
How?
Yeah, because like maybe for in the Philippines, there's a much more higher reach, so you have more people looking at your content. So maybe it might be shortened to about maybe 2 months, 2 weeks to 2 months. So it also depends on your type of product. So is it something that people want to buy fast, or is it like a lengthier process that involves more money? So you have to think about the value of a product. Is it something that's really cheap? If it's really cheap, then it can be shorter. It can be a shorter process. If it's really expensive, like buying a house, for example, or taking up an insurance plan, that one needs more information and more education. So your awareness funnel will be usually longer, and then the consideration will be shorter, and then your purchase will be shorter.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you're selling coffee, for example, which I would say is an average value of the product, it would be something that can sell faster because people know what coffee is. It's just deciding whether or not they want to buy from you versus a competitor.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all about making sure you are able to relate to them. So that could take between 2 to 4. But if you are selling a much more expensive and premium product, so that one would take much more longer, like between 3 to 6 months or even longer. For example, if you're buying a house, going on a holiday, or if you are in B2B and you are trying to sell something that is very niche, then those would take much longer because people need to be very educated on your product. They need to understand what you are doing, what you are selling, and obviously if it's a high cost, they wouldn't just buy it on the spot. You know, they will take a lot of time to consider it first before they invest in your brand or product.
Right. So in terms of B2B, if for example, I'm the social media manager of a coffee supply chain, it would be more on my marketing would be more on targeting the distributors, right?
Yes. Yeah, distributors and retailers, and I guess for B2B it's different because you are selling it in bulk, because you're like a wholesaler, I guess. You're a supplier. Yeah. So it's all about making connections and making sure that your product is really good and you're able to offer it to them at a good marginal price for them to want to buy to you. So that's for B2B. That's how usually it works. And usually the sales cycle is much more longer because you are building sales with actual people, with actual businesses, and businesses take a longer time to approve things. Because they need to go through a whole cycle of approving, making sure that your business is okay and working before they invest in you. But if you are selling it to a consumer, it's very easy because they can understand about your brand. If the product is good, they love it, they'll just buy it off a shelf in a supermarket. So it's much more faster, and the sales cycle is much more faster as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So lastly, in terms of the whole overview, so it's like when I'm a newbie and I want to try out those social media management, it's not that I dive right into what I'm selling or trying to sell out, because like selling ourselves as a social media managers to potential employers, right? Is what I'm trying to communicate here. Is that we need to have the ability to plan things on how we can market a certain brand. So I think for me to be hired as what I'm trying to learn here, for me to be able to be hired as a social media manager, I need to be able to show on my portfolio similar items like the one in your Trello, right?
Yes. Let me just show it to you again. Yeah, like this.
So this would be the perfect portfolio when I'm like in Upwork. right? I want to be a social media manager. So presenting my Trello like this would be like, this is the guy we want to hire. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So just to add on that, if you wanna, if clients ask you for, hey, do you have any experience in doing social media strategy or building building your Facebook page, then this would be a good example, because they know that they will know that you know what you're talking about, basically, because you are able to talk about the different posts and then what to take off, note off for important dates, and then scheduling it, and then they can even get a gist into how you design your post and how you write. But if you are talking to clients who are more advanced, so they would want to see how much growth you had. So they'll be looking at metrics, for example, like they grew, like for example in Q1 the Facebook page grew by 25%, that sort of thing. So it depends on your different clients that you have. There are ones that are towards the smaller business, so they just want to know whether you have experience in building this sort of thing before. And then there are also the more bigger brands, the more bigger companies, who they want to look at your performance metrics, like how much growth you brought and contributed to the company. So there are two different types of portfolios that you can take note of. So I will actually be covering the metrics part in next week's lessons.